If you're one of the 1 in 4 people in America struggling with arthritis, I bet that you are listening to this episode with a bit of desperation. You're tired of hurting and you want to get back to what life used to be like. If other things aren't working and you're ready to try a more natural route, I've got some good news for you today. So stick around and I'll tell you all about it. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the CBD and You podcast. And yes, you means you. And I believe you are here for a reason. I'm Lori, a Christian, a wife, a mama, and a midwife. And to put a little icing on the cake, my husband and I own a hemp farm in Tennessee. Girlfriend, I see it in your eyes and I feel it in the messages you send me. You are tired of waking up every day exhausted with aches and pains that you really thought you were too young for. And with all the stress and anxiety of the day, you're over it. Are you starting to wonder if this is really all life is? I hear you, and you are not alone. God did not design us to just survive. He designed us to thrive. So if you're ready to embrace this beautiful life God has given you by discovering some of His best gifts for His children, rewarm that coffee you forgot about in the microwave, and let's take a minute to pour back into you with a quick chat and some me time. Let's go. Did you know that according to the CDC, which in all fairness isn't my favorite organization in the world, but occasionally they have some statistics that are useful. According to them, nearly a quarter of Americans have some form of arthritis. And that includes around 300,000 kids as well. They have some form of it. And my guess is if you're listening to this episode, you're probably one of those people. So let's talk a little bit about what arthritis is, and then we'll talk about how CBD might be able to help you if you're struggling with arthritis. Arthritis is basically inflammation in the joints. That term at the end of the word arthritis, that means inflammation. So anytime you hear itis in any word, it's talking about some form of inflammation. And there's several kinds, but the two most common are osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. So osteoarthritis is the kind that develops naturally over many years, whether it be from overuse, being overweight and putting extra stress on your joints, or maybe injuries. Basically, the cartilage between the bones degenerates over time. One of the key things that makes osteoarthritis different from rheumatoid arthritis when you're trying to diagnose it is that osteoarthritis is not symmetrical. That means it doesn't always happen on the exact same joints on both sides, because it really just depends on which joints have taken more wear and tear. Osteoarthritis often will give you morning stiffness, like when you're first trying to get up out of the bed and things just hurt, but it tends to get better once you're up and moving. Maybe it doesn't go away, but it just, you loosen up a little bit and you're able to move a little bit better. On the other hand, rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disorder. And what that means is that the body has identified something as being foreign and it attacks it. So in this case, the body has identified the membranes around the joints, and often other places too, even internal organs and things like that can have issues. It has identified those things as being foreign, as being a threat. And so the body starts to attack it. And it's really unfortunate. Rheumatoid arthritis is usually symmetrical, which means if you're experiencing it today in your right wrist, you'll also have it in your left wrist. And it doesn't necessarily get better when you're up and moving. It's a systemic situation, which means it's all over your body. So the question is, can CBD help with these situations? And the answer is a resounding yes. We have anecdotal stories all the time. I don't even know how many of our customers use CBD for their arthritis, and they just give us raving reviews about it because it's given them some quality of life back. They're able to do more things that maybe they hadn't been able to do in a long time because their joints loosen up. Research has shown us that using CBD increases the amount of circulating cannabinoids. And basically that just means the cannabinoids, remember, are the things like CBD, which is cannabidiol, or in some cases THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, There's others as well, like CBG, CBN, CBC. There's a lot of them. They each have different jobs. And when you take CBD oil that is full spectrum like ours, it has all of those cannabinoids in there. So obviously when you're taking it, you're increasing the number of circulating cannabinoids that you've taken. And the cool thing is it actually stimulates your body's own endocannabinoid system to start generating more of its own cannabinoids. So you're kind of getting extras from two different directions. These cannabinoids then interact with some receptors. They're called CB1 and CB2 receptors, and they're all over your body. And it kind of starts to work with them to help modulate, bring down the immune system response and the inflammation. It especially works well for this situation in the nervous system and in the immune system. That's where you're having some overactivity. And so CBD goes to work in those areas. That's the beauty of the endocannabinoid system. It's like a first responder. It helps to restore balance. So when it sees that something's off, it goes to work in that place. It's a beautiful system, and you can learn more about that. I believe it was episode 8. I refer to that one often. I think that's right. The one that says, teach me like I'm 5. Just scroll down and you'll find it if you want to learn more about that one. So it helps the system to go to work where it is needed. Our endocannabinoid systems historically don't work that well anymore. It's very likely like any other system that doesn't work that well anymore because we've exposed it to so much negative influence, toxins, sedentary lifestyles, poor diet, all kinds of things that have just caused them to kind of go to sleep and not be functioning that well. But the beauty is when you start to take CBD from plants, it stimulates that system to get back to work. And that's how it gives you this relief. So the thought is from research that the cannabinoids may suppress something called cytokines. And I don't mean to overwhelm you with these big words, but I just want to show you that there is an explanation for why this works. It's not just snake oil. It really does have an effect. These cannabinoids suppress something called cytokines, which are inflammatory proteins that the immune system releases, and that can lead to these inflammatory problems that you have in arthritis. Even better, some research has shown that CBD may actually help your body to regenerate bone tissue, which will correct or help to correct the underlying problem. So not only are you treating the symptom, but you're potentially helping correct the problem in those joints that have been impacted. So how do you use CBD for arthritis? Well, the key here is going to be patience, because studies show that it may take a month or more before you notice the difference. And while I know that sounds frustrating, your arthritis didn't show up overnight, and sometimes it's going to take longer for it to get better. Now, I do have a lot of clients who use, especially the topical varieties, that have almost instant relief. If they maybe grab a CBD sample when we're set up at a market and they rub it into maybe their thumb or their wrist or their elbow or whatever it is that's hurting that day, and then they go walk around the market for a while, often they come back and buy the whole jar because they see, whoa, that's nice. It feels good. So it's not always that full month. It kind of depends on the severity of what you've got going on. Now, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, that is definitely going to be a need for the internal CBD. That means the CBD oil drops. And that is because it is a systemic disease. It is everywhere, not just in one place. And some of it is in places that a salve cannot reach. So you're going to want to use the CBD oil drops for that. And you're going to want to use them every day, even if you don't have symptoms. And that goes for osteoarthritis as well, because it is a balancing system. It is not as good of a rescue, meaning it's once you're hurting, if you take it that day by mouth, it's not going to work as well as if you had been taking it in the days leading up to it. And since you don't always know when you're going to have these flares and you don't always know when you're going to have a bad day, it's always better to have it on board ready to go. Especially, in arthritis, you have this going on all the time. So it's not like it's just going away. It's just some days are better than others. So it's always better to take it twice a day, all the time. For osteoarthritis, though, it actually does depend on what severity and where your symptoms are, which kind is going to be the best for you. If you have pain in lots of joints, maybe you've got it in your hips and your elbows and your shoulders, and maybe a little bit in your back too, you're definitely going to want to take the drops. And it's only because you don't want to walk around as a salve ball, right? You don't want to have to rub it on everything. The drops are going to deal with the same symptoms just from an internal route, and it's just easier to get to all the places when you're taking the drops. But let's say maybe you're a secretary and you do tons of typing and you've gotten arthritis in your hands and wrists, but that's really all you're dealing with. The salve can be a great remedy for you. I have one client who uses our salve for her hands because she's a hairdresser. And so her hands at the end of the day just hurt from all of the use and the overuse, swelling, things that come from a long day of work. So she gets the salve rubbed into her wrists and hands in the evening, and it helps a lot. So if you have a situation like that, like, wrists, shoulders, elbows, knees, places like that are easy to reach through the skin, meaning the salve can soak in there and reach the joint. So that's why sometimes maybe spines and hips and things like that aren't always the easiest to reach into, especially if you're overweight, just because it's got further to soak in. But if it's somewhere like hands that are, usually pretty small, elbows, those kind of things, the salve is going to be a great option because you can just rub it right into the area that you need it, and it works pretty quick. Another option for breakthrough pain, or maybe days when you're really hurting the worst, is a vape pen. And when I say a vape pen, I don't mean like the ones that you see people using where they're blowing out massive amounts of smoke because they've sucked all of these chemicals into their lungs. Not that. That's bad. Those things are really bad for you. What I'm talking about is a contraption that heats up a small piece of hemp flower and creates a vapor of the cannabinoids that are on that flower. So all you're breathing in is just a vapor. Those are really good for a rescue situation because the cannabinoids are delivered directly to the mucous membranes in your lungs, and so it goes straight to your bloodstream and it's really quick. But that's not going to be a great option for an ongoing treatment. We do have hemp flower available if that's something that you need. Just shoot me an email. I don't have it on the website anymore, but I can still send it to you if you need it. So just shoot me an email and I'll be in touch and we can arrange that for you if that's something that you need. I can also send you vape pen suggestions if that's something that you need. One quick side note, I found one article that actually mentioned using other natural remedies in conjunction with CBD to get a larger entourage effect. And the entourage effect is where the cannabinoids kind of stack on top of each other when they're all present to get a better effect. So the things that it suggested to use are things with a terpene called beta-caryophyllene. I think is how you're going to say it. Beta-caryophyllene is found in hemp, but it's also found in black pepper and rosemary. So using these can actually increase the effect of CBD. So that's just something to kind of file back there in case you want to get a little extra boost. Maybe use some fresh ground black pepper or some fresh rosemary from your garden in your dishes that you're using, or maybe with teas or whatever you like to do, and maybe it will help boost the effect of the cannabinoids in the CBD oil. We have had loads of clients who have reported immense improvement with their arthritis symptoms using our products. Of course, there's different degrees of severity and there's different situations, but overall, we get really good results, really good reports. And the great thing about CBD is that it doesn't take the same toll on your organs as the synthetic anti-inflammatory drugs do, like the NSAIDs, which are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. That's your ibuprofen, Tylenol, those kind of things. Although technically speaking, Tylenol is not an NSAID, but I digress. Those types of drugs that you take for pain that are over the counter at the drugstore, those take a toll on you and you really shouldn't be using them daily. Also, there are steroids that are often given for arthritis, and they also have a really hard impact on your system over time. They can really impact your bone density and a number of other things. So you just don't want to use these things frequently. Natural remedies like CBD are going to be a better and safer option. So I hope you'll decide to give our CBD a try so that you'll be the next one to send me some great report about how much better you're feeling. If you're ready to give it a try, be sure to you can go down to the description if you just want to click a link, or if you want to type it in yourself, it's bit.ly/CBD show. So CBD and you show. Type that all in together. It's going to take you straight to the cart in our store online, but it does that so that it can go ahead and add your promo code. So it'll already be there. Then just click above it. It'll say shop. Click that. Go pick out everything that you want, put it in your cart, and you're going to get 20% off of your entire order. What you're going to need, again, is going to vary based on what you've got going on. So if you have osteoarthritis, in a lot of places, you're going to want to get the oil drops. You'll see it's in the bottle. It says premium CBD oil. And then you've got a choice of your flavor and your strength. The flavor is up to you. You can either get natural, which has no flavor added at all. It's just going to have that hemp flavor. Or you can get, if that's off-putting to you, you can get cinnamon or peppermint. If you have osteoarthritis in just one or two places, then the CBD salve is going to be a good option for you. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, definitely the drops. If you're a female, fairly normal sized, never used it before, 1,000 milligrams to 1,500 milligrams is going to be the best option for you. And you're going to get a card with your order that's going to tell you how to use it, so don't worry about that. If you're a man, unless you're just a very small man, I always recommend you start around 1,500 milligrams. Now, if you're a smaller man, you might want to go 1,000 milligrams just because it's kind of weight-based, and I don't want to give you too much, so that's where I would recommend you start at 1,500 if you're a male. If you have questions, if I've confused you, if I've caused you more problems than help, which I hope that isn't the case, but if I have, shoot me an email. My email address is down in the description again, and so you can email me there, and I'll help you out all I can. And if you have a show topic, if there's something you're really wanting to learn more about, I would ask you to go down to my SpeakPipe link, which is also in the description, because I love addressing what it is that you need. It's hard for me sometimes to guess what people out there are struggling with. And so if you tell me, it makes it easy. And that way I can do an episode specifically about whatever it is that you're wanting to learn about. So questions, email me. Questions for the show, do the SpeakPipe, or email me is fine as well. And I just look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you right back here next week. Whoa, wait, stop. I need your help. Before you take off, if this podcast has blessed you in any way, or if you learned something, could you take 1 minute and leave me a written review over on Apple Podcasts? That's the absolute best way you can thank me. I love hearing how what I've learned on my journey has helped you on yours. Remember that the word says every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. CBD is one of them, but there are so many more. Cling to him and you will never go wrong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you back here in a few days.